uh, honor my grandfather, something to be shown to his I was tomorrow for grandmother, Yankee Bas,
I have to cover that up. To see him, I want to hear.
I think it's on the site, second site is the back, dedicated something about Shimshon Akibar and all speeds. The very the sector is very deep and I'm not very esoteric, so it goes down very fast in nature. The last mission is got to the Pumas, so I the during the stadium, I can't get you on it. Got to all the band reads. This is about the destruction of the Victor. During the final construction, the state of Sivan was Bishop of Russia's father. During that time, he was the general, and for example, the campaign against Jerusalem, basically King Nero and back in Rome died, and Senna went to the emperor. So he gave 10 days to the son, you know, everyone knows Russia, right? He gave his son to take over the campaign. As far as the mission was further, and I discussed about the instrument that knows to play on Polish is during this campaign, which is the second campaign. Goes to the house, and then right. The way you run it, the way you run it, but next time it's week. So the part of them is saying exactly the new one, some people on the street here, but you said here, the aristocrats of Rome had special language, like code, how to learn. Someone will learn into it to be subject to Greek. So not something that would be on the face value over here. But almost after during the final campaign, this is the second campaign. God do John takes about 30% every year. They decree that Brian may not go forward to a canopy with the city. Now the same but the covenant he gives takes that account the 30% every year. The one they permitted of Brian to take from the canopy. And the court discussed a little bit of things why they're running Brian. The whole thing basically since we have during summertime we wanted to show that are famous. The one wanted to show how famous they think it's destroyed. Therefore, we take it upon ourselves, different things to make sure that we're sad. Let's be here. Rabbi mentions once Rabbi died, the secret composed in a parable. People who would expound on each parable to learn what it does. And I did what got done. Once of another died, there seems to be diligent scholars who will day and night to make sense and humor. All do it for their John. Once the family died, there's no way to expand something. The base of the Akiva, what does better there? Once you died, it's more than the space opinion, the data, but one actually might want to opinion the data, people need. So, for example, those are people need during that time. It's like more down in relation over here to the science. There's 3 stories. One story was one job is about the very sad. You make a mistake. Instead of taking oil to lighten up the candle, you use vinegar. You do. So the same. If you Shemai says use oil to light your candle, use vinegar and the entire time. Instead of the side goes money and came to said I want to make a wall with empty, put a beam across the top, but it's not working. What should I do? The Akku, the same Hashem was ready for work. But it all goes. Miraculously, it's being stretched. There are always different stories. There's one last story because the scientist said I think that had many of these had purple cattle herders. Right? So you had goats. And they're complaining against saying you have these goats over here, they're damaging our field. It's not true. It's really true when it comes down to night, those same goats will be eaten by wolves. You see wolves walk back to the city, you'll see them eating them. If it's not, if it's fine, right, you'll see the same goats walking back and forth, holding wolves on their head. The story goes that the goats came back to the area. That's what I think it might have deed. It's a fascinating person. Once they're 80%, they go to lesser, they can be 5%. It says every generation applies to us further, then people get less and less. It attributes to our versus you spoke of lesser because compared to the previous generation, that generation. That's how great that becomes. Well, the question like that, the extension why was the because he was a reason to buy the later didn't talk about those to the fuck. Once again, we talk about the wonder of victim. The later we are talking about this in the second. What the others died, were retired. Well, it's strange because previously it said, or he was word there, the word there, the person differentiates the word there, that's not learning. Back in generation was covered there to stand all day to show you how much there meant. And had a strength, he was standing for 12 hours running straight. Once he died, there was a special figure note to go around the whole world. No more people have strength to stand all day to learn. But the base of the higher purity diet, that's all that made from Ishmael, that probably was to that, once it's small, that probably died is one of the part of the he was a very wealthy person in your life, and he went to a special covered Tuna, and all the kind of Ishmael stuff that he was served. Once he died, there's no one serving him. That special books of money. If you're ready, what's all on top of your estate? One time you got utility was dead. This ends the mission. So, if you go to tomorrow, ask us people, based Rabbi, you put on your estate. Once Rabbi died, you know you took them as well as you had to stay. Hopefully, you're getting a kind of this day, and nobody never say, you know, take a hand on this myself. Over there, nothing about the satellite, this may you do it. They never say, take a hand on it myself. And it's fascinating the last piece because the Umbrellas were known to be people's humble people. And this is exactly exact opposite. They're saying you should know everyone's great. I'm really great. And it goes to show they were cited the parables or not recited the Mishnah. They wanted to get as accurate as possible. They were in no way possible to show that they had ego whatsoever. They were trying to show you that this is factual. There are people here, this is why we have Switzerland. We don't have people who don't Switzerland. But they were the most highest level of knowledge. I do a root of that one.
When you finish, exactly what the number will continue doing is a mitzvah from before. In anticipation.
Amen. We have L'chaim here. If anyone wants, please do L'chaim. After all, we stay for the Sudas Mitzvah. It's a big simcha. Thank you very much. What's your first name again? Moshe, L'chaim, Moshe. Should be Messiah more Masechtas this way.
He just said everything can be changed. You can say L'chaim with water.
Every time you hear the Masechta of Soita, L'chaim V'Lebro, the Masechta of Soita, it makes you smile. Like two of my Ram get up and they say to the Tana, don't Loitisna Nova, the Nachman and Rabbi Yosef, the Loitisna Nova, don't say that there's no Nova. I'm around. There's a few pshatim from the Rebbe, and one of them, the Rebbe said that maybe the pshat is the opposite. The people in the generation took me as a Rosh Yeshiva. How could you say there's no humble people? Look at these guys. They took me as a Rosh Yeshiva. So it must be that they're humble. But the Rebbe said they can't be the true pshat because Rashi says, that I'm a honor. The Rebbe says that's why Rashi has to say a pshat. Because otherwise someone's going to say the pshat is that the people in the generation are Ba'alanova. That's why Rashi says, no, that's the wrong pshat. What's it talking the pshat? The Rebbe said a pshat, which is a yoytza doy from pshat. That Rabbi Yosef said that the Mishnah says that the Mesu, that these Amiroim passed away. So Loitisni said, don't learn that they passed away and therefore went away the Novo and Yiras Chait. These tzaddikim, through learning their Torah and through being connected in their Derochim, so they didn't really pass away. No, I'm a Talmud. So I'm a Talmud, so the Anova that came from my Rebbe is now in me. So it was not Hepech Anova to say. If a person says, Ich bin an Onov, how do you say you're an Onov? But this guy, the Nachman Rabbi Yosef said that we had Rabbeim, and their Rabbe, the Rebbe, was a Onov, was a true Onov, and it was a true Yiras Chait. And I am going in the way of my Rebbe. So it's not my Anivus. L'chaim.
So he's not.
This year was Ashkocha Pratas that came out that everyone was learning Masechah Soita. Chabad is learning Masechah Soita because that's the minig, and the ganze Welt is learning Daf Hayom is learning Masechah Soita. It's a beautiful thing about Chaim L'chaim. Okay, a boy asked me a question. Sometimes I'll change or drop the question. It's not Nageya because it's Nageya to us to learn a little bit of a sugya. So, boy said, my father bought me a bike. And then my father decided to get rid of the bike. He sold the bike. Who gives my father the right to sell my bike? So then it says, Taka Shaila. If your son comes home after bar mitzvah and he has a package of envelopes like this, and there's a couple of $1,000, are you allowed to take the money? Or who does the money belong to? To your son or to you? Stam, a little question. Your daughter comes home and she's eating a bag of chips. Probably it'd be nice to ask her if you want to teach her. But theoretically, if you just want to put your hand inside and take one chip and make a bite of adoma, but she doesn't want you to take, is the bag of potato chip belong to her or does it belong to you? Kacha, there's questions big and small that could come up with between parents and children. Maybe today we won't cover everything. I want to cover just this thing with the bicycle. So let's read a little bit in the Gemara. The Gemara says, in Baba Metzia, like I said, this is a relevant question. A lot of times when children are living in the parents' house, especially as they grow up, and the children are going to work, they're making money, and the shaila is the money they make. They're not paying rent, they're not paying room and board. They're staying in your house. They're eating from your fridge. They're living in your house, the air conditioner they're using, v'chulu. So what rights do you have in the nechosim of this son or this daughter? They're 20 years old, they have a job, Baruch Hashem, but they're living in your house. So what's the din? It's a geshmak sugim Baba Metzia, several places, but it starts bika and daf yud beis. Oh, you didn't get yeah. The Gemara says, Metzia is b'noy v'ita aktanim, Metzia is avde v'shivchos aknanim. The small daughter, Ben Ubas, that Aktanim. So their Metzia is Ishte Reu Shaloi, belongs to him. Metzia is B'noi Bita Gdel, Metzia is Avdev Shechotz Avim, Metzia is Ishte Shigish Av B'Shalonos Aksuv Reu Shalayan, belongs to them. Zog the Gemara Mishmo, the Mama Metzia is Kotten La'aviv, B'Shibshosh, Moitza Meritza, it's La'aviv, Ve'ena Ma'achar B'Yodim. I want to go into too much on what Shmuel said, because Allah is not like him. Plige the Reb Chia Bar Abba, Dam Reb Chia Bar Abba, Omar Reb Yochanan. Loi godel mamish, v'loi cotton mamish. Rabbi Yochanan, which Allah is like Rabbi Yochanan says, when the Mishnah says a godel, it doesn't mean a godel. Mishnah says a cotton, the Mishnah doesn't mean a cotton. Ela godel b'samach al shulchan aviv zeu cotton, the cotton means samach al shulchan aviv zeu godel. When the Mishnah says you're caught in the gadol, that doesn't mean before and after bar mitzvah. It means a totally different thing. Gadol and cotton here. Gadol and cotton means if the son is living in your house and eating on your table. The son could be 20 years old, but if he's sitting in your house and eating at your table, so then that's it. His mitzvah goes to you. Okay. So let's look in the Shulchan Aruch straight away, because as I said, the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan. Shulchan Aruch says, if you have a son and daughter and they're eating at your table, and his daughter, which is an anomaly, that even if she's not sitting at your table and she has her own apartment, she's paying her own bills, it belongs to the father. Why? So most poskim say they made a takona mishum eva. The father is going to be unbelievable animosity from the parents to the children. You're 20 years old. You're still living in my house. You're using the air conditioner, the heat. You're using space, and you're eating from my refrigerator. And now you have to hustle your own bank account, and it's all yours. So therefore, the mitzvah goes to the parents. So some of the Rishonim say that only the mitzvah, but if they have a job, their money goes to them. Other Rishonim say no. That also they Pasha don't have a yad. They lost their yad. It's as if their yad was taken away. And everything they're zoicha, not only the mitzvah, everything that they're zoicha goes to the parent. So machlokas RIshon about this. The Shulchan Aruch paskins, hu adini mervichu b'schoira b'malach. Beis Yosef sof siman kupayin zayin b'shem irtur. That the Shulchan Aruch paskins like the Rishonim to say that when he said the father gets the mitzvah, it's not only the mitzvah, the schoira, the malacha, the everything. Their bank account is your bank account. You can hook their bank account to your bank account and pay your bills from their account. And that's the way the Itur paskins. That's the way the Shulchan Aruch paskins. This is a yotzim and a klal. Father passes away, and the son has X dollars. The son has his own bank account. There's $100,000 in it. If his father wanted a day before he passed away, click a button and empty out the $100,000 into own account, pay a bill, and or take the money and put it in cash in an envelope. And now, if there's 10 siblings, there's 10 boys in the family, each one would get $10,000. I said, but it's my money. No, it's not your money, it's your father's. But if the father left it in the account, so that's different. Why? The simple reason is the father was moichel. He didn't take it. So why did you not take it? So he was moichel to the son. There could be other reason. Nafkamina, Okay, so exactly. There's another mahalach that says the Makatchila he wasn't really koined. I think I want to go into it next week maybe, but there's a few reasons for this din of Shulchan Aruch. Aval mitzias benoy she'ein semach al shulchan. Aval bishu cotton. Or mitzias avde v'shivchotza even in mitzias isha she'ein meguresh ve'ein meguresh she'ein shaloi. Why? Because we said even this woman there's a shaila on her get and you have to redo the get. Why did Chacham say that the father should get the mitzvah mishum eva? We don't want there should be animosity. Here we want there should be a lot of animosity, and he should run to Bez and give her another get. That's why also his daughter, which is a naida, even though she's not eating at his table, she gets his things, because the father has the right to marry off his daughter to whoever he wants. And we're scared that if the father doesn't get along with his daughter, he'll be mekadosh his daughter to manuvel umukishchin. It's hard to imagine how fathers go through everything in order to find a good shidduch for their daughter. But we say if chas v'shalom, there'll be a bad relationship, father and daughter. So he'll hook her up with a manuvel umukishchin. So therefore, they made a takona that even if she's not sitting at her father's table, that her stuff from Mitzia and by extension, her skoid and malacha goes to the father. Okay, now is the main line I want. No, once she's above a naida, that's it. If she's living on her own, he can't be mekadesher. As long as he could be mekadesher, la'acher mishum eva. Chazal said, let not there be a thing between father and daughter.
And obviously, if she's living alone, some of the money has to go to herself because she has to pay her rent and she has to pay her things.
I hear.
So
I hear. That's,
Not exact.
I hear you.
And a kid that lives in your house during the day, he eats outside. He buys.
I hear. If they give a matana to a child, here's a chidush. It's not brought in the Rishonim clearly, and the Shulchan Aruch says, "What's if someone gives a matana?" Here was the question: that the father gave his son a bike, and now the father decided to clear up the garage, and he sold a bike. So, if you give a matana to a child and he's a cotton, if you give a matana to a child and he's a cotton, it belongs to the father. If it's a gadol, it belongs to him. Presumably, by a matana, the Rishonim understood there's no idea of Eva. If the Mishnah says only his Metzia, but you can extend it and say that the Chazal said he doesn't have a hand, everything goes to his father. But if he got a matana, matana is different. Matana is different. So now the shaila is, what happens if the father gave the son a matana? This was the question that a boy asked. His father gave him a bike, and then the father decided that we don't need to clog up the garage, and the father sold a bike. What's if the father gave it to him? So that Akiva Eiger says in the Shulchan Aruch, and I looked in the next paragraph, Ein Nemuke Yosef, the cost of Rebusa Yosef, the Afim Oviv Nasalam Atona, Vaim Chuvaselem Rab Betzal Ashkenazi, the Rebbe of the Arizal, Simalam at Ches. That there's a bigger chiddush, even if his father gave him matana. Still, it's the same rule. But the emphasis, you have to think about what's the reason that a matana is different. So the Smeh writes, the Ikal HaMeimer, Hanoisen Hikpid Li is Dafke Shel Ben. You could say, he says a svara, that the person that gave a matana wants that the son should have it, not the father. The Smeh is bothered. If you hold like the Rishonim that the father is now the boss and the son lost his hand, he doesn't have a hand. He can't be kohen anymore. To the extent that we pass in the Hilchos Eidavin, and that's why we try very hard when you make an Eidav Tafshilin, that you shouldn't give it to your wife or your son and daughter that is in your house. Or Eidav Chatzed is the same thing when you're mezakeh. When you want to be mezakeh to everyone else, so what's the problem? We want to be machmer like the Rishonim that say that your wife and your son and your daughter that's living in your house, they don't have a yad. So if you don't have anyone, Erev Shabbos, Shavuos, we're going to start. So you do it with Bita Agdoilo Yishtoi. But you should not do it with your wife or not do it with your son, even though they're bar mitzvah, because we're scared for the Rishonim that say that when they, not only the mitzvah goes to the father, Pashut, your wife has no hand. Your son, your daughter, they don't have a hand. So if we pass him that way, so the Smeh thinks, so wait a minute. So why is he zoiche with a matana? So the Smeh came up with his own brilliant idea that someone could give. He is makna. Someone else gave the matana. So when he gives it to a little child, presumably, a little child is not responsible. So he probably meant your mommy and tati will take care of it. But if he's over Baram Bas Mitzvah, he meant to say, I'm giving it to you, not for your father. If he wanted to give it to the father, he would give it to the father. So this is an anomaly when he gives a matana. Now, I ask you, Adova Poshin in my mind, if you ask the Smeh, if the father himself gives it to the son, so the father can, and then the father, especially the father later goes and sells the bike, and the son brings the father for a din Torah. The father is going to open up the Shulchan Aruch and open the Smeh and say, yeah, if someone else gave it to my son, he had in mind that it should be my son's and not mine. You think I'm such a fool? I give things to my son, he's going to clog up my garage, and I'm going to be stuck? I'm not April's fool. I gave it to him, al das atzmi. Why should litikunish why would I give my son something and make myself problems? I gave him al das that it's mine, that's not his. That's what a father could say. That's if you learn like the Smeh. But if you learn like the Ramban, let's read the Ramban. The Ramban says, Oimer Rabbeinu Tam, even the Kaimelam Kirbi Yochanan. The Omer Be'edevin u'Mazakal Ahem al Yedei. Hodet Nam Be'edevin u'Mazakal Madei Bo B'noi Bita Gedoylam V'loi Kotten Mamash El Agodo V'chem B'chol Mokum Shomer K'yoytzabai. The Ramban says that Rabbeinu Tam, basically the Baal HaTosha said that when the Gemara says an Eidevin, that you can give an Eidev Chetzedes or Eidev Tavshilin to your son and daughter, it means a son and daughter that are not eating in your house. But if they're eating in your house, you can't give it to them. The Ramban disagrees. The Hocha Mishum Eva Tiknu Le Rabbona. Over here it's a special takona by the Metzia, maybe by Maisi Yadov, that the son gets it, but the father takes it from the son. Hasam Lekem Mishum Eva Kimish Avim Noisen Loy Avop Ishuhu Noisen Liskas Vabachedim. The Ramban said it's not the Pshat that Chazal took away his hand. The son has a hand. Elamai, the father's coined. Now that the father gave to his son, here, take the Eidev Chetzedes, pick it up for everyone in this courtyard. The Eidev Tavshilin, pick it up for everyone that wants to be Saimach in the Eidev. So Fakir, the father wants the son to, otherwise he has to go get someone else, a neighbor. There's minutes, there's Sunishkia. He wants his son to be able to be Mezakeh, the Eidev for everyone else.
It's also part of Chino.
Or whatever, yeah, he wants the son to have his hand. So that's what the Ramban holds.
But the bike,
So-
you give it to a son, that when he's going to grow out of it, you want to give it to the next son.
No, I would say
You shouldn't sell it.
No. Lanias daiti. This is what we are machloikis the Ramban and the Sivan. It seems clear to me that if you ask the Ramban says that the son has a hand. Elamai, the father takes away from him, but if he gave it back with Eidish, like a Eidev Chatzedes and Eidev Tavshilin gave it to his son, so obviously he wasn't makbid to take it away from him. The same thing by a matana. He gave it to him, so he gave it to him. But if you say like the Semeh, who seems to learn like the Rishonim that the son really has no hand, Elamai, if someone else gave it to him, it's as if he gave it to him with a tanai, and he said, I want you to have the bike and not your father. It's hard to imagine. The father could say, I never gave my son a bike with this tanai. You hear what I'm saying? If you hold like that Ramban, that the son has a yacht. Elamai, the father could take it away from him. But if he gives it to matana to be mazakat to someone else, the son has a hand. So if he gave him a bike, the son was zoicha. So if you hold like the Semeh, which essentially is paskening that the son has no hand. The son doesn't have a hand. Elamai, if someone else is mazakat, just like a woman, a person can be mazakat, almanasi, your husband doesn't have a chelik in it. Person has the right to do that. But he has to say, when he gives it to the wife, you can ask to say, I'm giving it to you, almanasi, your husband doesn't get it. The same thing here. But if a husband gave something to his wife, if he said it, I'm giving it to you, amatona manas, that I don't have a chelik, okay. But if he didn't say it, he didn't mean it. He still has a chelik in it. So in this case, I think it would be clearly a machlokes between the Ramban and the Semeh. The Ramban holds that the son has a hand. Elamai, the father takes it away from him. But if it's a matona, the father gave it to the son, so he gave it to him, and he has a hand if he's a godel, so he was zoicha. So the father now, if he sold the bike in the sale, in the garage sale, he has to pay back his son. But if you hold like the Semeh, the father could say, I never gave it to Maldas, that I don't have a koyach in it. So if we came to Bezdin, we know that there's a big rule of Kimli. A father could say, I learned like that Ramban. I like that Ramban. That Ramban is my guy. And then we'd say, if the father did not sell yet, and the son is muchzik in the bike, so then maybe there would be the son would win, maybe. But if he already sold it, the father could say, listen, Kimli, I hold like that Ramban. And therefore, I think the father would win.
And if the kid goes and gets the money and says, give me like this man, bye.
Okay, okay. This is where I'll leave it at this point. Belina, the next week we'll a little more. But like I said, this is the emissaries. It's like an interest. This is something. There's always, especially today, there's more children that are living in their parents' house. The shidduchim, unfortunately, it's a situation that the shidduchim today, for whatever, l'tav l'mutav, but a lot of times that the children are in home a little longer than the parents would like, and it's a shaila, like So this is the sugya. It's just the metzia goes to the father and the mother, or also the ma'aseh yadayim go to the father and the mother. Do they have a yad? Do they don't have a yad? Okay.
If it's a cotton, even the Ramban is going to say that
Right,
it's yours.
because he doesn't have a yad, right?
He's a girl. He
Right.
told me to be a girl. Maybe a girl is different.
Maybe we'll go with it. I have to think about it. Maybe we'll talk about it next week. Good point. Okay. It's a special day today. Today is the day after Shavuos. So today is called Yom Tavuach. It's an interesting din. in general, the Shulchan Aruch says that the day after, Chazal say that the day after Yom Tov is called Isru Chag, and the pasuk says Isru Chag b'avosim atkanas hamizbeach. And on the day of Isru Chag, it's a special mitzvah to make an extra suda, to add a little more to the regular suda, to wash, and that's why everyone is washing now, is doing the mitzvah of Isru Chag b'avosim atkanas hamizbeach. Special mitzvah to add, because it shows that a person is going away from it's similar to thought of Malava Malka. Like you're not just running away, Ketina Kaberech Vesa Sefer, you're not just running away. And the Yom Tov is dear to you. So that's what the Gemara says. However, the day after Shavuos is a double Yom Tov. It's a Be'emes Mikir Adin, it's a Yom Tov. Why? It's a Chidush Gadol. It's a very big Chidush. The Alter Rebbe brings it in the Shulchan Aruch. Some of the boys can ask where the Alter Rebbe take it from. But Lepoil, that's what the Alter Rebbe holds. The Mitzoy Chag Shavuos also lisanas Mikir Adin. Lefisha Yom Tavuach. בזמן שבית המקדש קין, דהיינו שבוי ביום הם מקריבים אוהל השרייה, שלא יאכלו להקריב ביום טוב עצמם, לביא שאין בהם שום צורך לאכול נפש, והם אכלו יום טוב בשבילם, כי מי שאפשר להקריב אחר יום טוב, שהעצרת יש תשלום מכל שיבה, ואף על פי שזהו לדבר בשמאי, על דבר בסילל מותר להקריב ביום טוב עצמם, כל מרכיב שבדבר זה אסור בסילל, כדבריהם, וארבע מישראל נוגעים כמויסם להקריב אחר יום טוב ונעשה, להם יום זה שהוא מצוי יום טוב כמו יום טוב עצמם, לא אסור בהספד וטעמים. אם כן, אהבתם שחרר בית המקדש להוטר ההספד והתיינס בוי ביום. אבל במצוי יום טוב האחרון של פסח, ושל סוכות לא יהיה יום טבוח, אף לא דבר בשמן, שכל לילה שריע נקרבס במצוי יום טוב הראשון של חילול של המועד, לפיכך אין במיסה ליסנס מעיקר הדין, אלא מחמס מנהג בעלמא. So what's the idea of Yom Tavuach? In the days of the Beis HaMikdash, every Yid came to the Beis HaMikdash with 3 korbanos. Could you imagine? Say 1 million Jews came to the Oila Regel, yeah? So 1 million Jews, so put them into families, like bunch them up. So you have 200,000 families, right? So each one is chayiv to bring 3 korbanos. A Oila Siriyah, which is a Oila, a Shalmei Chagiga, which you bring home and eat, and a Shalmei Simcha.
Each person or each family?
Each family. So if you say you have 1 million people, there's 200 families. How many animals are marching up to the Harabayis? 600,000. Look out on Avenue J and imagine the space of a sheep, a goat, calf, and then multiply that 600,000. Exactly.
And the Kohanim, the Shechatim has to.
It wasn't shaykh. It wasn't shaykh in one day. It wasn't shaykh to do it. Elamai. The Torah says you have 7 days to do it. By also Shavuos, the Torah says you have 7 days to do it. That's why, according to Minik Sfarad, we don't say Tachnon until day Yud Beis, which is till Thursday Vad Bechlal.
After Yud Beis or including Yud Beis? No,
including Yud Beis. Because those are the days that the Yidden were bringing korbanos in the Beis HaMikdash.
So Yud Gimel will be the first day you...
No, Yud Gimel is the first day you say Tachnon. Friday this week, but Friday is the first day you say Tachnon. Why? Because...
Some don't ever say Friday.
Some always find reasons. But Chabad tries not to make tricks with Tachnon. We say Tachnon. But the Alter Rebbe brings a list between Asher and Balatzin of Minik Sfarad, the days we don't say Tachnon. And one of them is 7 days after Shavuos, because it's like Yom Tov. Because in the days of the Beis HaMikdash, these were the days that they brought the korbanos. Now there's a machlokes. Beis Shammai says that the first day of Shavuos, you're not allowed to bring an oil siriyah. Why? You have another 7 days, another 6 days to do it. There's no oichel nefesh. You're not eating it. It's going totally on the mizbeach. You have to bring it from the next day on. So the Alter Rebbe says, according to one girsa, that even Beis Hillel listened to Beis Shammai. There's a whole. The Rebbe has a whole shaklataya. There's a Gemara that's down that way. The Rebbe brings a raya that it is that way, because the Gemara says the whole story. Hillel Hazaken came with his carbon to the Beis HaMikdash. And all of a sudden, all the Beis Shammai swooped in on him, and they started to badger him, and he tried to get out of them, and it became, it was wild. And at the end, they had a whole dintoid about it, and Rabbi Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. So, but the Gemara continues. Shuvay Maisa b'Talmid Echad. There was once a Maisa with a Talmud of Beis Hillel that he came with the first day of Yom Tov Shavuos. He came with his carbon, and one of the Beis Shammai said, "Mazu smicha," So he answered, a mazu shtika. So he said, what are you doing? What chutzpah? Who, you're bringing a korban and doing smicha? Don't you know we paskin you're not allowed to? So he said, don't you know we paskin that you, Beishama, have to keep your mouth shut? So the Rebbe says, so Al-Lachayr is Akash and the Gemara. What kind of funny stories? Maisa b'Talmud, one Talmud. If the halacha was really like this, hello. So why is it like, it sounds like the Gemara an anomaly. One Talmud came up and there was a story between this Talmud and the other Talmud. Sounds from the Gemara that Lamaisa, the Yidden were knowing like Beishamai. And they did not bring the korban on the first day. They would wait till the day after. And therefore, that's why the Alter Rebbe paskins that because the minig of Kal Yisrael was to follow Beishamai. It's interesting. Even though the halacha was like Beit Hillel, and this thing, the minig of Kal Yisrael was to follow Beishamai. To bring the Oila Siriya the next day after Shavuos. And therefore it's a Yom Tov. In one of the sikhs, the Rebbe asked, what do you mean? Yesterday was the day after Shavuos. Shavuos was on Friday, right? In Eretz Yisrael. Shavuos is on Friday. Shabbos was the real Yisrael Chag. In the Chutz Lawrence, but what's the difference? But in Eretz Yisrael, it's on. So the Rebbe brings a few tiruts, and one of them he brings that there's a beautiful tshuva from the Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer says, why do we keep 2 days Yom Tov on Shavuos? What do you mean we keep 2 days Yom Tov on Shavuos? Why do we keep 2 days Yom Tov? On Sukkot is Sveika de Yom, we don't know. On Pesach, Sveika de Yom. What kind of Sveika de Yom? What's the suffix? You count 49 days and 50 days of Shavuos. Is there a place in the world that the Shluchim Bezdin didn't get there even after 50 days of traveling? The Jews live at that time. There's the Jews that lived at that town in Sao Paulo, in Brooklyn, New York. What are you talking about? Is there a place in the world that the Shluchim Bezdin, you have to know when they were Kaveya the month of Nisan. So you have now, not 50 days, 50, 55, 64 days. They for sure knew Elamai. The reason they kept the second day of Shavuos is Kadesh Eloi Tachlik B'Moyadis. Chacham said that the women are going to get confused, the people get confused. Is it a 1 day Yom Tov, a 2 Yom Tov? They said, let's keep always a 2 day Yom Tov. So the Chassam Sofer has a Mordecai Chiddush. He says the second day of Yom Tov, sometimes we're makel, Beitza Shanoil, Yom Tov Rishon, Yom Tov Sheni. But on Shavuos, he says we're not makel on the second day because the second day is a vadai, is not a suffix. We keep it as a sveika de yom. We don't know which day, the first day of Pesach, the second day. But Shavuos, we know. But Chacham decided anyway to keep 2 days. So therefore, it's not a sveika de yom. Based on that, some sofer, we could say that we keep the 2 days. It's like Rosh Hashanah. The 48 hours is one unit. So the next day is Yom Tov Ruach. Bottom line is that today is a big Yom Tov because today is Yom Tov Ruach. If Mashiach comes today, it turns out, right, that if Mashiach comes today, we could still go to the Beis HaMikdash. And if Chaz V'Shalom not today, tomorrow, till Thursday, if Mashiach comes, it's a Shak Levataria. The question one could ask, if when you have Shavuos and the Beis HaMikdash is built, and you didn't bring the korban day one, so then you bring it day two. But what happens if there was no Beis HaMikdash on the first day?
It's like the gear.
Once the meaning is like Beis Shammai, it's okay.
Right after Korban Pesach.
Exactly. So it's a similar short question.
But Beis
So-
Shammai is the law is like Beis Shammai now. So the Hakriva is.
So McCain Clinton, so Mashiach will have to come, and Mashiach will have to notify us. If Mashiach comes today, he'll have to let us know what's the din. Do we say that the chiyuv is chal now, and even though when we celebrate, we were celebrating on Friday and Shabbos, and Mashiach wasn't here yet. But what's the difference? It's from 7 days. We still bring an Oila Siriya, and we still bring a Shalmei Chagiga, and we still bring a Shalmei Zimcha. So we have to stay tuned. And if Mashiach will come, we'll ask him the Shaila. And if he passes that we have to bring a korban, then we'll go out and we'll get three. Each one of us will get a little lamb and another little lamb and another little lamb, and we'll bring the 3 karbonas. There's Hashem Yisborach. The Eibishter shall help him. Huh?
It's a mitzvah, really glue.
All right, we're going to find it. The Eibishter should help him that we should have the Shaila today, tomorrow, and Mashiach will answer, and we'll know if we have to bring the korban for Chag HaShavuos.
Why do they call it Shavuot? Shavuot is killing. It's war. Couldn't find that.
The work that macht me acher. That's the lotion of the psukim.
It's only killing because it's used for shita.
No, but the wording said what?
Here.
Maybe the Israeli
It's
way of
something,
understand that word is harsher than what the Torah meant it.
Maybe.
We're talking more about shita.
Okay.
Okay.
No, the Israelis I have a.
Chaim.
You know,
Chaim
no,
spread with the Siyum.
the Israelis make
A lot of nachas.
But another one. Nobody finished instead of coffee. Amen.
Yeah, and
If I have 10 people,
they call it
Huh?
like that.
Good.
why?
Chaim.
Who watch?
You always
Pick
make-
up your hand.
I wash.